that there should be no shame in
Mhm.
desiring companionship. There should be no
Absolutely.
shame
Yeah.
in
That's
saying,
the point.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to be doing this life by myself.
Mm-mm. No, no,
And I
no.
and I feel like God didn't say I had to. It
Yeah.
was actually a choice. Welcome, welcome, welcome to another episode of Truth
Well.
Reveal, where we discuss topics that relate as we reconcile and reveal God's truth. Thank y'all so much for being with us another time, one more time, another day that the Lord has kept us.
Yes.
Hallelujah. I have my
Amen.
co-host with me today, Holly Harris
What's up?
and Latricia Peak, aka Sweet.
Hola.
Hola, ¿cómo estás? We are coming to you today um, with a very good topic. A
Yes.
very good
Excited
topic.
about this one.
And it must
Hmm.
be a topic that the enemy won't discuss
Oh my God.
because
We have
we
been
have
through.
had many technical challenges to get this thing
Oh
popping,
my
but
God.
it's on and we thank God. We glad about it. We excited about it.
Yes.
This is a
Yes.
fun, lighthearted topic, but it's actually very serious. It's lighthearted, but it's serious because it deals with relationships. It deals with um, how we come together. Particularly, we're talking about dating relationships. We're talking about the journey from going to singleness to marriage. In this day and time, that in between stage is called dating. Uh,
Yes.
and we are going to discuss today a wonderful topic that is a little bit controversial in the church:
Mm-hmm.
online dating.
Yes.
The
Yes.
online dating space, the internet meetup spot. Amen. Um,
Lord.
Amen.
yes, we want to discuss this topic today. And I'm gonna give a little background about it. I wanted to have all these wonderful facts about online dating and its origin, but I don't have that. But I'm going to tell you this: one night, um, and I don't even know what was going on. We were doing a conference call, me, Holly, and Sweet. I think we had recorded already, or was just discussing some things, and the Spirit of the Lord jumped on me, and I went on. I went on Look, I'm blaming it on the Harmony. And I started filling out my profile and asked, and I was like, what do this question mean? And they're like, what are you doing? And I told them I'm setting up my profile on eHarmony. And then by the time I got through with that, they was like, well, let me go on. I think Holly might have already had a profile on somewhere.
Won't
But
using it.
wasn't using it. And so they're like, well, let me go on. And by the time the night was done, I had applied to Churchy Date. Don't do church. You know what I? I ain't gonna speak against nobody because they might sponsor us one day. Maybe be, but by the
Oh
time it
gosh.
was all
Okay.
over, I had a profile on eHarmony, Christian Mingle, and something called churchydate.com. Can't forget about Churchy Date.
Churchy day.
Um, and I think, in the last blessing that we did was there's a content creator, and I'm gonna say his name because he's well known by the name of Ezekiel. He's a poet, Christian poet, and he had an advertisement for a dating app called FTH. Um, and that was the last thing. So those four things were the four things that after it was all said and done, we had all created profiles to be on. And we
Wait a
thought
minute. Now we had created them, but it seemed like
the FTH.
when we got on some of them, we ended up just being like, no, this one ain't gonna work. Was it? It was churchy
Churchy
date,
date.
and it
Well,
seemed like
okay,
it was.
look, I was the brave one that actually went on Churchy Date and stayed there.
She was a dove. That's what she was.
Yes,
Bless the
yes.
Lord.
Send the dove.
I just was putting it out there, going out there, trying it for all of us. But and so we did that. So we thought it not robbery to come and discuss really the topic of online dating and some of its pros, some of its cons, and really why um one of the things that we know is, at least for women, the stigma is online dating. All now this discussion is not about the dark and desolate and disgusting places in the online world. There are online quote unquote hookup things, there
Mhm.
are online, a friend of mine told me there are things online where literally they create spaces for people who want to date other married people and do all kind of stuff out the will of God. We not talking about that. Okay. That's not what we not discussing the underbelly today.
Hmm.
We talking about good Christian
Good clean
intimacy.
girl. Good, good.
Okay. Good Christian, good intimacy. Yes, yes, yes. And one of the stigmas and one of the things that are brought up is that, does online dating put women in a place to where we're not being found, but going out there to seek? And we're gonna get into that. We're gonna get into
Mhm.
that. But I want to ask my young ladies first. We're gonna go into that part. But one of my first questions that I put was, what are or were some of your fears individually about doing online dating, if any? Well, like, was there any fear about going into that space?
I think, the stigma, of course, with online dating is, you might get somebody crazy. Let me tell the truth. You go through some of them bitches and you be like, what is really going on?
Mm-hmm.
Because some of them, I don't know, they don't believe in putting their best foot forward. Let's just say that. And some of them do be looking a little crazy on there, whatever. So I think that's the thing in the back of your mind is that you're gonna get some crazy lunatic that's you see the Lifetime movies and
Right.
and you start playing that type of thing in your head. So that was one of my drawbacks with online dating as well as the fact that I think a lot of women in church deal with this. I know somebody close to me that I consider a mentor. She completely feels like online dating is not of the devil, but that it's not something that Christian women should be pursuing, because it's almost like the scripture, he that findeth a wife findeth a good thing and obtaineth favor from the Lord, is taken so literally that it's almost like, I think some women feel like I just sit here at home and somehow the husband is going to fall from the sky,
Right. And he shall
and
not.
there is nothing. You looking around for him.
Every
And then
reason, every reason.
I'm telling you, and then there's nothing that we're supposed to do. Like if we take any type of effort to position ourselves, in a certain type of way, then that's seen as going outside of the word or outside of the will of God. So to be honest, that was somewhat my thinking for a number of years. Was okay, it's just gonna happen. I'm gonna be walking in the grocery store, and
Right.
but the older I get, the more I'm realizing that I need to be just as intentional about my love life as I am in pursuing my goals.
Come on,
What
somebody.
I'm saying? So those were some of the things that I kind of came across, when it came to online dating, and why it took me so long to come to the light. But
Yeah. All right. I wouldn't say that I necessarily had any quote unquote fears of the online dating because many years ago, I think it was when Tinder was kind of new to the scene and before it had turned into a straight hookup site. I did go on Tinder. And this is probably like maybe 5 or 6 years ago. And I did meet some pretty seemingly legit young men. It never evolved beyond that Tinder environment. And it wasn't a horrible experience. I just kind of felt very disconnected.
Mm-hmm.
So that has been one of my concerns as it pertains to why I haven't kind of chosen it as a viable option to meet someone. And that could be because I've been on the free sites, you know. I don't really know how intentional or what the mindset is of the people that are on the sites with me. So, it's like a lot of swiping, a lot of swiping. And
Mhm.
so it just felt so impersonal that after a couple of months, I just deleted the account.
Yeah. Okay.
Mhm.
All right. That yes. That's a good point. And when Holly was talking about the part about for Christian women where being it's kind of like a unspoken, untold that you just sit there and wait.
Mhm.
And yes, people can meet in the grocery store, but one thing I think I've seen is the culture of male female relations has changed. It wasn't like back in the 90s, in the late 90s and maybe early 2000s, where all you used to have to do was go to the mall and walk through the mall. By the time
Ain't like
you've
that
been
no more.
approached 50 11 times, you know, it's not like that anymore. I think because the world is different, men are different, and it's just not that type of environment for whatever reason. You can meet someone in the grocery store, but really for Christian women, for me, let me go back to the fierce thing. I actually didn't have any particular, I wouldn't say a fear, because once I got over the fact of, yeah, you could meet someone crazy online, but I could meet someone crazy
This is
in
true.
person and
Yeah.
Yeah,
won't know they're crazy till I get to know them.
Yeah.
Uh,
yeah.
and one of the reasons why I chose to really be adamant about doing the online, because a key word that Holly mentioned was intentionality. Being
Mhm.
intentional about your love life is very important because it doesn't happen by osmosis. Even if we look and go into the Bible, it didn't happen by osmosis. Now they had a different way. They
Mhm.
had a different way than we did. But I looked at the book of Ruth. That was extremely intentional. How Ruth
Yeah.
got
It
to Boaz. That was
was.
not just happenstance.
Mhm.
Hmm.
You know, it was a point in there where Naomi was like, okay, these are your options. There are two. There's close relatives. There's two close relatives, and when they finally got to the part where she literally she told her, you put this on, clean yourself up, go here and go lay at his feet. That was intentional instructions. So
Mhm.
just to make that clear, like intentionality is not God is not against intentionality. You know,
Yeah.
that is a very, very important thing that we have to think about in the dating space. And online dating for me was just where I could be on the same playing field, hopefully, that if people were being honest, because going to a Christian dating site, right?
Mhm.
And I'm particularly talking about FTH because I really like FTH.
Mhm.
Particularly talking about FTH, when you go into a Christian site, you're kind of feel like you're kind of weeding out the men who don't identify as a believer. So
Mhm.
that's why I one of the pros I think is about online dating. But all right, so we talked about the fear. And another question I had, do you think more Christians should be open to online dating? Why or why not?
I definitely feel that they should be open to it. I feel like that it is the avenue of the day, that, a vehicle in which God can use to connect you with your spouse. I mean, more and more people are finding their mates online. I just read an article that said that I think it was like 39% of people in 2017 found their spouses online. That is a
Wow.
significant number
Yeah.
of people, and it's steadily growing. The more and more the stigma of online dating begins to fade into the background, the more and more people feel comfortable doing it. And I think the way that they have certain things set up on sites now, it makes it a little bit less invasive, I guess, until you can really get to know the person, and then you kind of decide how much information you're going to give out, and if you do want to take it further, you're able to take it further at that point in time. So I think it's kind of they're trying to make it more to where it is safer for people to do it, and they feel more comfortable doing it as a result. So
Yeah.
I definitely feel like people, that's the median of the day. I mean, you can still find people the old fashioned way, but more and more people are online. So I definitely feel like it's something that you should at least try once.
Yeah. All right, sweet. What you think?
Yeah, I pretty much concur with that. And I honestly, I don't know if, excuse me, I don't know if you saw any statistics or anything. I haven't, but I think a lot of Christians are open to online dating. I mean, eHarmony, I think, was one of the first initial, um, maybe faith undergirding based online sites, and that's been over a decade out. And then,
Yeah.
from eHarmony, you start getting your Christian mingles and Plenty of Fish and Faith and all of the and the other people, bless their hearts. Um, and you started getting all these other sites. I mean, yeah, you have your Tinders and your other things out there too, but you started seeing these other sites pop up that were kind of like what you were talking about, April, that weeding out, hopefully, for the believer. So I actually kind of feel like a lot of Christians are, or maybe at this present moment, have become more open to um, engaging in online dating than maybe, say, a decade ago.
Yeah.
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 I definitely think that us as believers, more Christians, male and female, should try online dating, like you said, at least once. And I mean,
Mhm.
and when I say try, I mean intentional try. Don't just create the profile, never go back on there. Uh,
Don't talk about me.
I'm not talking about.
You did go
But
on
see, look,
there.
you
We
called
not
yourself.
talking.
You called
I
your
know.
own
I'm
self
talking
out.
about the other one that we did, Holly.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah. No, but whatever you choose, whichever one you like, because that's one thing, you're not going to like all the technology because there's different ones work different ways. I like FTH, which is and that might be another barrier. Is the cost of it, right? Because
Mhm.
most of these sites, um, they cost something to really be effective. So you can get on there and have a profile for free, but there are some won't let you be able to see whether the person's a Christian
Mhm.
or not because they don't only cater to Christians unless you pay. And there's different match technology that doesn't get activated until you pay.
Mhm.
So some of those, but like the app, FTH app is free, and I liked how that worked because literally you're swiping left, swiping right, and then you can engage via text. And if you want to go further than that, of course, you can go further. But I think that every Christian should try it because you think about the problems and the issues that we always hear, particularly from women. There are no men at my church. I
Mhm.
go to a family church. It's just me and my kinfolk up in there, you know. Um,
Lord.
it's a whole world out here.
Yeah.
It's a whole world out here because that's one thing that I feel like. I probably should keep this to the end, but I'm flowing. This is one thing that I felt like God really showed me. Like He's like, I have believing men out here, you know.
Mhm.
I've got now everyone may not be for you for different reasons, but there are men who are about that holy life and
Mhm.
about intentionality and mate, because another thing that I would suggest for Christians to go on these sites, because a lot of times the people that are on these sites, they are ready. They're not just, particularly on the Christian sites, they're not just on there because they're looking for a friend or somebody to chill with. They are like ready to settle down. So
Mhm.
that's another reason why I would suggest that all believers, if you are in that place in your life where you do care, don't be afraid to say you want to be in a relationship.
Yeah.
Like, don't be ashamed to feel like, oh, I'm not supposed to seek after that. No, if that's a desire,
Mhm.
right? If marriage is a desire, if having a companion is a desire, then be intentional about that. So I think that is a definite I would suggest or recommend it to any believer if they're in that space to try
Mhm.
online dating. uh,
Absolutely.
oh,
And I I
Go
think
ahead.
I would say too, April, to add to that, and this has just been my experience because I guess this would be considered experience too. Because I also enrolled in FTH out of the three of us, and we decided to do this be test subjects for the sake of the podcast. I was the first one that was like, I'm done, and deactivated my page. And they all were like, hold on a little while longer, hold on. I was like, no. And
Hold on.
I was like, yeah, I'm out. And I think that when you're talking about being intentional, I think for me, if I'm going to actively utilize um, a online dating site to intentionally find someone, potentially, I think for me, I'm gonna probably have to fork out some money,
Yeah.
because if there are people on there that kind of like me, after weeks and maybe a month or so of superficial conversation, I just was, I didn't have interest anymore. I was talking to multiple people, engaging in multiple conversations with 7 or 8 different people that wasn't going anywhere beyond, hey, how you doing, and what they did for a living. And then there would be
Mhm.
gaps where I would send a text, but I wouldn't get a response back. So does that mean that you didn't get it? Are you not interested anymore? Like, there's so many other factors. So I think that if I were on a site such as I'll throw something out there, eHarmony, where I'm actually putting money up front, and then there are other individuals on that same site that are putting money up front, I think that shows a lot of intentionality and you being very purposeful with, I'm so invested in potentially hoping to find someone who is like-minded, that is what the scripture says, where your
Where
money
your
is, your
treasure
heart is, where
is.
your
Your heart
treasure
is,
is, your
yeah.
heart is also. So if you're willing to utilize your hard-earned money, um, that's even harder to earn in these here Rona streets, for the
No.
sake of meeting someone, I think that that shows a lot of intentionality. It shows a lot of being purposeful, and that you're really serious. Because I don't care who you are, male or female, no one's in the habit of just throwing away $30 a month
That's true.
for the sake of just throwing away $30 a month. You know, nobody's going to do that. I mean, people
Yeah.
do that, but I think that you would be more cautious. So I think for
Mhm.
me, that may be a better. I may have to put my money where my mouth is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I
Mm.
understand that. And that's another thing with this whole online dating thing. Like, you're gonna have to try different things, right? You're gonna have to try different things and see what really works for you. Like, I did not like Christian Mingle. And it's not because Christian Mingle did anything wrong, but the matches they was giving me, I was just like, I was like, I'm sorry, people who are listening that can't see my face, but just trust and believe. Just imagine. Yeah. I was like, y'all better get out of here. Get out.
I
Mm-mm.
felt that, but I felt that way about FTH. I think because for people who have no concept of what this is, basically you put your information in. It's just like any other site, and then you put in your zip. And so basically it's kind of pooling all of these gentlemen in the vicinity sometimes of where you live, and then sometimes not. Like, I met people that were 600 miles away. But
Mhm.
in the beginning, when we all signed up that night, we were all gung ho swiping all night long, just swiping,
Yeah.
swiping. I kept getting a lot of older, and I don't have anything against dating outside of my race, so
Yeah.
it's not
Plus.
even about that. But I kept getting a lot of older Caucasian, um, deer hunting, pickup truck driving, one tooth missing. I was like,
Yeah.
what in the world? It's true. I was
Oh, they
like, did they
wanted
not?
some chocolate, girl. They said
Did
ain't no
they
chocolate out
not
here in
read?
the country.
Did they not read the instructions and said take a good picture of yourself? I don't care if you took a picture out of your camouflage. Let's be clean. Have your hair cut. I mean, I was
Please.
like, so nobody read the instructions but me. Okay, all right. So the first
Oh,
couple of days,
Jesus.
I was sorely disappointed with not. They weren't matches. Let me make that correction. They weren't matches. They were just people that were in my
That you were
area, and I
swiping.
was like, where are the black people? Where are the
Oh,
Hispanic
Lord.
people?
Yes,
Where are the good
yes.
looking Caucasian people? Because I'm not coming across them. I don't know. So it was quite interesting,
You know
Oh,
what?
to say
And
the
Jesus.
least.
I'm glad you brought that up. So on the y'all on FTH is about to get a whole bunch of free advertising from us tonight, but it's called good. On the FTH app, y'all. So it does do via location because there are
Mhm.
people that uh sweet Latricia was able to see that I may not have been able to see, right? And I would get ones who were like Raleigh, like Eastern North Carolina. And I would get the 600 miles away too. But one thing you got to do when you do go in there, as far as they do let you scan your age requirements. So you can put a setting that I only want men from 40 to 42. You just got to kind of
I did that.
It didn't
got it.
work.
Okay. Anyway,
They
yeah.
look like what they've been through, honey. Like,
And some of them are lying. Some of them, because one of them
all
was
right.
said that they were 41. I said, in what universe are you 41, sir?
Oh, Jesus. It's been very interesting for us.
Yes,
And that's what I finally just got off. I was like, forget it.
right.
I
Because some
quit.
But
some
there
can
were
be
some cute ones
encouraging.
on there, though. Now.
There
Right.
were some cute ones.
And some can be encouraging. You can find some cuties,
Yeah,
just
because April.
yeah.
That's all I'm gonna say.
But it's just, and that's another thing. When you get into this online space, you gotta have some tenacity about you. You can't let the negative ones, if you determined, you're just going to keep being determined and be like, well, more people will be added in Jesus' name, and keep and go on every so often. And I know that's not for everyone. And
Yeah.
swiping and hearting particular things. And I will say this, one pro tip for anybody who will try it. One thing that I did do, I read their profiles, right? Because what they do on the app, you take your pictures, supposed to take your best pictures, upload those, right? And then they allow you to say what your denomination is: Pentecostal, Catholic, Episcopal, whatever. Or you can put non-denominational. And then you can put where you work, if you wanted to, and you can put basically a little bit about yourself. It'll tell you, it'll give you a little box. So you look at their profiles, and something that they said in their profile. So if he said, I like the beach. Like, I see you like the beach. What's the last beach you've been to? I love the beach too. Something to kind of draw that conversation in. Now, sometimes it'll work, maybe it won't. But the ones that I started, and literally, like, y'all, I used to pray, like, okay, Lord, this person hearted me. I think they're attracted to what can I say? And not trying to over spiritualize, but the Holy Spirit guides you in
You're right.
all things. So I was just like, what can I say? And almost really 100% of the time, except no, maybe 98% of the time, I got a response from the ones I really want a response. And another pro tip is move fast. Like, if the initial conversation, where you work, you got kids, the initial, and you're like, okay, cool, and you ask them, maybe ask them a spiritual question or whatever, and then be like, well, look, I don't really like this app. It's hard to contact you. I see your messages 6 hours later or the next day. Call me. Or they may be like, if you say, I don't like texting as much as I like talking, they'll shoot you their phone number. So that's just a little pro tip. And then another thing, according to what Latricia said, black Christian men go on the thing and put more more y'all need to be on there. Because I said the
Woo.
white women got all
No.
a plethora of
A plethora.
let me make this clear. Please know we're not trying to be prejudiced or racist or against interracial dating. If you want to interracially date, you go for it. But if
I don't discriminate.
right, we don't. Holly said
Yeah.
she doesn't discriminate, and
I know.
Equal opportunity employer over here too.
Yeah.
Cause I had that one cute Caucasian man that I was like, "Where you live? Where you at?" You remember the ones that I showed you guys a
I
picture
think
of?
so. I was like,
Oh
my
my!
God,
From
help us,
heaven
Jesus.
above, from heaven above. I'm saying the other people was like, "What?"
right, but
So for me, it wasn't even about the race thing. It was
right
like for a season
but
or
for
not.
ones like me who prefer
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, April's like,
who
nope.
I got to pray about my that I don't have any prejudices, which I don't think I do. But for ones like me that prefer to date the same race, it's really not a lot of black male representation on there. I did
No.
notice. But go ahead, sweet, because I think you still had more to say.
No, that's what I was just wanting to say. That it wasn't it's like what you just said. I think everybody is entitled to preference. So
Mhm.
vice versa, if it were a lot of white men and they were constantly being bombarded with maybe black women, and they may have said, "Hey, I want to see other white women." I think the way the app is set up, and maybe that's like I don't know what kind of algorithms they were using or whatever. I'm just saying, in the beginning of me kind of like starting this account, literally, and I do think people were lying about their age too.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it was a lot. I was basically just not even matching. And matching is when you heart someone and they heart you. It
Mm-hmm.
wasn't even matches. It was really just what I was looking through. The
Right.
pool of men
Right.
was older Caucasian
Mm-hmm.
um, men
Yeah.
that were probably a little country, and I'm not opposed to country, I'm country myself, but it was like a certain type, so I wasn't seeing anybody in my age bracket, and I was kind of like confused by that. But
Yeah.
I think it goes back to what you said, April, which is the app only can pull what's present. So
Right.
if there aren't profiles of other African American men that are in their mid to late 30s or early 40s or whatever, they can only present what's there.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely. So yeah, that's one thing that'll happen as more Christians, I think, and one as more sites advertise and become known. And as more Christians get more comfortable with and not having a stigma. I know we don't have any male representation on the podcast tonight, but even if some of them have a stigma that maybe online is for the socially awkward who can't approach
Mhm.
women, or they think that'll make them look like a crazy person, or like that's not true. You got to change that narrative.
Yeah.
Online is not for where the psycho is supposed to hang out. It's just a place, because the fact of the matter is we are the Christian community is dispersed abroad, dispersed.
Yes.
It's not like we're all in one room, where we just got all the singles who know how to mingle. And actually, some are socially not awkward, but basically you would feel better. It's easier for you to swipe heart and text than it would be for you to walk up to that same person that you would be willing to engage electronically or engage on the internet. You know,
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
so yeah, I think that's a thought. And another thing, just in case, you know what, we might get a sponsorship, we might get something. But FTH, if you're listening, or any of the other free apps,
Yes.
um, if you are listening, ways that you can improve that site.
Come
Okay.
on. Yes.
Mhm.
I think, and y'all can add to this, if they would allow you to see who hearted you, right? So how that
Mhm.
app works is that you can heart as many pictures as you want, and that just means I'm attracted to you. I like you. I would like for you to engage me if you're attracted to me too. But you will never be able to engage that person unless they swipe to your picture and either swipe right on it or heart your photo. And y'all won't engage each other and otherwise. So if you could see who hearted you instead of swiping until kingdom come and see out of the ones who hearted you who you like out of who likes you, I think that would be good. I do.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know,
I do
and
too.
I think it would still be organic, it would still be, and you could still heart others who hadn't hearted you yet. But I just was like, if I just knew, because I would get these messages, you on fire tonight, or getting all these
You
I,
like
turning heads.
right.
they
I
send you the
am.
little right. They send you the little notifications talking about you turning heads. April
Yeah.
turning heads. Go on the app, open it up. And then I go open it up and and I be hearting stuff. And nobody that I hearted had hearted me. And I'll be like, well, who I'm lighting up? Who head I'm turning?
And I actually I agree with you on that, April. I
Mhm.
think that goes back to, and I say this being that I'm not a tech savvy person at all, but I do understand the concepts of algorithms. So I think initially I didn't realize that too, and I
Mhm.
was like, oh shoot, people are liking me. Hold up, let me get in this
Mhm.
app. And I think that's just the way when you've been absent from the app, a way to engage you. Not to say that
Yeah.
that you weren't getting likes, that they were
Mhm.
lying, but it's just a way to get you back into the
It
app
is.
Right.
Yeah.
to start engaging the app again.
Right.
Because
Mhm.
I think if you're sending someone a message saying, "Hey, you have new likes," in my mind, when I initially started getting those messages, I was perceiving that to be that someone had messaged me inbox.
Right.
Got you.
And then when I would get there, open up the app and not see anything until I realized what was taking place. So I
Yeah.
think that's something that may be, and I don't know how they would even handle that, being that it's a free app. So there's
Mhm.
probably got to be some level of trying to get action and movement on the app. I don't know what that's like on any of the other apps. I'll let y'all know once I figure out on this eHarmony here. I might sign up for.
That's right.
Yeah.
Let us know.
But I do like that part of the app that they do, like if you haven't been on there in a while, because especially for those of us who, you've been single for a long time and you kind of gotten comfortable. And you just like,
Right.
oh well, it is what it is, and you just living life, and and you're trying to fulfill purpose and dreams, and then your love life goes down the drain or somewhere in the back burner. The app will
Yeah,
say, don't forget about your love life. Don't forget about
yeah,
Right.
that's
hello.
true.
There's
That's
another
right.
side to you that you need to
Hey,
engage, okay?
us.
You're human, you're flesh and blood. You need companionship. You need,
Yes, sir.
and so that's I do like that because I'd be like, yeah, you're right. I do need to get.
Oh yeah, let
So
me go check on that.
Right.
That's
yeah,
true.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
I think that's a good point too,
Yeah.
Holly. I would
Mhm.
agree with that, especially the part about um and I think we kind of talked about it at the beginning of the podcast. Just that part about once you have been single for so long,
Yeah.
it's almost like how there's this cliche that once people have been single for a long time and they're older, it's harder for them to marry because the old saying is they're set in their ways. They're not willing to change. And I
Mhm.
think sometimes, like, even if you are a person that seek or desires companionship, um, and you're older, and say you've been single for a little while, or for an extended period of time, I think that you acquiesce so much to your own life and what you
Mhm.
have going on that it just is so normal
It
that you even
is.
forget about, oh yeah, I mean, yeah, I do want to be in a relationship,
Mhm.
but you put forth no effort to
Mhm.
do that because you're so bogged down with living.
Yeah.
And I think that can be perceived as good and bad. Like,
Mhm.
I think it's good that you're not the extreme, sitting somewhere in a corner, hoping and praying and wishing and believing and just putting yourself in every situation to meet somebody. I think there should be
Mhm.
balance, but I also feel like, and I'll just say this for me, I don't want to make it categorical. For me, I've been so focused on like family and ministry and traveling and seeing the world and experiencing and purpose and fulfilling dreams and goals. And that I think sometimes those things, when done right, will take up so much of your time.
Yeah.
And when you are a healthy, when you're healthy emotionally and spiritually and
Mhm.
mentally, and you don't feel the lack of the
Mm,
companionship,
yeah,
it makes you forget that
it
you remember you
does.
said you wanted companionship. Oh
Mhm.
yeah, I did say that.
Yeah.
Because life is so full.
It is. Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think that's a testament to just God being who he is. Um,
Mhm.
that that life is full for me. That sometimes I have to remember, like, but you do know, and a lot of times, when I remember when I get wedding invitations,
Yeah.
I'll
And
be
you
like,
like,
oh
ooh.
shoot, yeah.
Yeah.
I gotta meet somebody. And or if my friends start dating and I'm like, what, you got a boo? And
Yeah.
maybe they've been kind of single with me, and they kind of morphed into in a relationship. It kind of brings to mind that, oh yeah, like this is something that I said I want, and maybe I
Mhm.
need to start putting forth a little bit more effort into it. So yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, and to that, for me, you're right. Life is full. I'm the single mama on in the group, and having kids keep you on your toes and things like that. But I'm gonna be honest. I have gotten. I think my tenacity came from me really feeling like part of my purpose was going to include marriage. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Um, that part of my purpose that I'm fulfilling is going to include me being espoused, and also too me even looking being a mother. My part of my full life is raising my kids.
Mm.
Them jokers is going to leave me. You hear me?
Yeah.
And a lot of the responsibilities that I have, even with family's going to get older, they're going to grow up, and their needs are going to be different to where the things that fill my life now may not fill my life later. And
Hmm.
I have moments because uh, my kids have a wonderful father. They go with him whenever they go, want to go with him. They go with him summer and some holidays. So I get alone time where I'm like, yeah, you in here alone. Like, and it becomes like a lot. I think it's a lot
Yeah.
louder for me just because I'm normally not alone in the house. So like if you're
Mm.
single and this is just how your life is. You come home, you don't expect to hear no noise. Then you think you got to fight because somebody in there. But for me, it's always
Right. You in my
for
house.
me, my normal is noise. My normal is
Mm.
cooking breakfast for someone, making lunch, making dinner for someone. That's my
Mhm.
normal. So when my
Right.
kids are not in the picture, I'm like, hmm. Especially with this COVID. Oh no, because I don't
Mhm.
even have church to busy me like that.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
not going as much. We're still doing a lot of online stuff that I don't have to do anything for. Um, so yeah, I think so. uh Lord, I don't forgot my purpose of even saying all that, but everybody, I'll say this: everyone's journey is going to look different, and some of us,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
again, this is not to say there's anything wrong with anybody who wants to be single, but this is really for those who have just been thinking God is punishing them because they've been single for so long,
My Lord.
or been complaining, or doing the ultimate no, which is just accepting people that are so unequally yoked
Yeah.
out here,
Hmm.
just seeking the promise outside of God, and just out here just getting it in with no ring, just
Getting
just
it in.
just bringing them on in, like, come on over, whatever.
Ooh.
Yeah.
because that's a real thing. And
Hmm.
what I want is the shame that there should be no shame in
Mhm.
desiring companionship. There should be no
Absolutely.
shame
Yeah.
in
That's
saying,
the point.
I
Mm-hmm.
don't want to be doing this life by myself.
Mm-mm. No, no,
And I
no.
and I feel like God didn't say I had to. It
Yeah.
was actually a choice. I can choose to be like Paul, or I can
Mm-hmm.
choose to be like the other disciples who had spouses.
Yeah.
I can choose to be like, other people, great men and women of faith who were married, and
Mm-hmm.
it's just about intentionality. And you know what? Now, let me get to my last question because that I was going to go ahead of myself.
But I just want to comment about that too,
Add
and
to. Go ahead.
I want to add to that. It was what I was thinking about, and I lost my train of thought as well. And we kind of touched on it. I think maybe in maybe last season we were talking about dating, and I like that you were talking about getting rid of the shame, because
Mm-hmm.
there is still this stigma that's attached to, I want to make sure I word it the correct way. So I'm hearing more of it. I'm hearing more about it, or it's becoming more prevalent. So just like I said, as a single woman, I do feel like I have a very full life and have been, essentially single for a long time. And I think that there's this noise that I'm beginning to hear within Christendom that is saying things like your purpose, which I understand my purpose is not to be married, but I still can desire companionship. And there's this thing, there are these rumblings that I'm hearing where people are like, I wasn't even thinking about getting married. I wasn't even, but if this is the purpose that God has for me, then that's just what he has for me. Now, this is always coming from people that are married. So I'm always kind of like, but you're
Yeah. Come on.
married.
Isn't
I
that
mean,
ironic? Oh
Right,
wow,
but
that
you're
is so
married.
confusing.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think, like, as a believer and as a seasoned believer, and we talked about this on the dating show with the men, the men's edition, I'm still cognizant of keeping myself in a place of peace and peace of mind about where I find myself. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I have to be content in this place
Right.
of
Mm-hmm.
singleness, as I
Yeah.
still desire more than what
Yes.
I have. I
Mm-hmm.
still have to be content and not feel shame because of the desire.
Right.
Absolutely.
Because I
Yeah.
think there's a nice balance that needs to take place. I think there's a sweet spot.
Yeah.
Um,
And girl, you done hit something now,
Yeah.
and now I got to go get into the Bible. Go, Holly. Did you have something to add before I go on with my rant?
Oh
I'm about to
no.
do
Go ahead and rant. Rant on.
for the ones who will, and not to shade them. Like I said, a lot of times you hear that from people who are married and not
Mm-hmm.
dealing with the aloneness, a lack of companionship. They have children and all the other stuff that comes with having a spouse.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, but I will say this, and this is not to knock anybody off of their contentment. I am not seeking this because I am not contented with my life. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
seeking being in relationship because I feel like that is my sole purpose in life. But I will say this: if Ruth has not gotten married to Boaz, there would be no her in the part of the lineage of Jesus.
Yeah.
Her finding him and him finding her and them having sex and having children was the fulfillment of prophecy that had to happen.
Yeah.
And sometimes we detach physical things from the spiritual so much that we act like one never can have anything to do with the other. But
Mm-hmm.
it
mhm.
very much can be
Yeah.
a spiritual thing that God wants someone born from who you will meet loins in your body, or God someone wants to take someone who already has children and for you to step parent that child and to build a certain legacy to instill. There's certain things that when you connect with certain people, what I'm trying to say is that God fulfills through relationships,
Oh,
and it's
absolutely.
not just pastor parishioner relationships. It's
Mm-hmm.
not just my prayer partner relationships. The first relationship earthly was a marriage.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And and what I don't want to happen, and it kind of, I think Sweet touched on it, because what I think out of that conversation example that Sweet gave, it is a putting a valuation system and a hierarchy, where
Mm-hmm.
we devalue, oh, marriage, girl, just going on for Jesus. That that's devalued, and your relationship as a usher and with the church, or your
Mm-hmm.
relationship as a minister in the church, is up here, and
Yeah.
marriage is somewhere down here. Like, no.
But you know what? I do think that that's a defense mechanism sometimes,
Mhm.
because instead of facing the fact that, you know what I'm saying, that you are alone, sometimes you can inadvertently devalue the one
What
thing,
you
because you're
desire.
trying, yes, because you're
Right,
trying to compensate for the fact that you really do want it. You know what I'm
right,
saying? But
right.
it hasn't happened yet. So
Mhm.
as a result, I have to devalue this thing in order to,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
balance the
and
equation.
you're right. I think you're absolutely right, Holly. That can be a defense mechanism. So,
Mhm.
Saints, you don't have to devalue either to be content where you are. And if you are hurting over that, like if you really low key are feeling some type of way, go before God, go to His
Yeah.
Yeah.
feet.
Yeah.
But for you
Mhm.
married folk, okay, who are around here telling us,
Got hips.
girl, shh, and just pray
Yeah.
for us here.
Hmm.
Hush up, hush up with your
Your
with your
married self with
arms and
somebody in the
thighs in
bed
your
with you.
bed. Be quiet. But
Yeah.
yeah, so yeah, I think I think that the last question I had was just, what did the overall experience of online dating like teach you? And this could be not just from an app or from the service in particular, but what did it show you about you and how you was even thinking about dating or anything? What did you learn just from even attempting this experience, Holly?
I, you silly. I would say just being more open, being more open and being more intentional, like I said before, as far as don't get so caught up in everyday life that I neglect, that part of myself, or that basically kind of taking ownership of my life more. I mean, I understand that, God, He's definitely the author and the finisher of my
Yes, it
faith,
is.
and He is in control of everything. But still, at the same time, I think He wants us to also take ownership in, this life that He's given us, and not, allow, even love to be something that we treat nonchalantly, or, just kind of tossed to the wind, but that we're intentional about it, that, as we pursue God, and, and seek His face, as it relates to a spouse, and seek Him just to better ourselves, that we would at the same time take those steps to position ourselves to get the things that we're asking Him for,
Mm-hmm.
just being more, intentional in our pursuit of that. So I think for me, that's what it's done for me, is helped me to do that, and just to open up more, and, be open to new possibilities, to meeting people, and not taking it so seriously. I think, I mean,
Yeah.
taking it seriously, but
Right, but I know what you're
you
saying.
Yeah.
you see what I'm
Enjoying it,
saying?
enjoying the
Like,
Mm-hmm.
experience. Yeah.
yes, yes. And if he don't text me back, okay, well, on to the next.
Right.
Just kind of being a little bit more lighthearted and fun, with it as
Yeah.
well, and not feeling like it's got to be like this every, I got to meet him here and he got to do, but just kind of being, a little bit more relaxed, and just going
Yeah.
with the flow. Let go, let flow.
Okay.
What they say?
That was
Let
in a
go and let love
movie.
flow. Yeah. That, yeah. So that's what it's teaching me. So yeah.
Good.
Okay.
All right.
That's
Well,
good.
sweet.
I think definitely being intentional. I have been very, very not intentional as it pertains to relationship. And it also brought out some things about myself that I had to have like that hard conversation, because I realized that, um, how would I word this? Not It's not a frustration, but it's kind of what I was saying earlier. When you become so accustomed to life as it is,
Mm-hmm.
the time and energy it takes into a relationship,
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
it's a
true.
lot.
It
And I'm not
is.
talking about marriage. The marriage, that's another level of relationship.
Mhm.
I'm just saying the basic stuff of like getting to know
You know,
people.
it is.
Right. It's
That's
a task.
still
It's work.
energy
It is.
involved in that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like realizing that, I was like, do I even feel like, where are you from?
Mm.
What you like? You know,
I
how
get
many
that.
kids you
Yeah.
have? Do you have any kids? You know, all of those things that you do when you're first getting to know people. Sometimes the airs that you put on, like I was having to ask myself the hard questions, like, this is what you want to do? Like, do you have the energy to do that, along with all
Mm.
the other things that you have going on? So
Yeah.
that was like a real hard question that I had to ask myself, understanding that if I'm ever going to be in any type of successful relationship, I'm going to have to get to know people. So, of course, the
Mhm.
answer has to be yes. But I think I also have to be open and honest with myself about the fact that there is a tinge of reluctancy of going through that process. And I would be remiss in denying that that's not a reality for me. That,
Mhm.
like, the
I
thought of
get
like
that.
that piece of having to go through that again, because even
Mhm.
when you're dating people and you're getting to know people, and then you find out something that you don't like, or not even something that you don't like, but maybe it just, you're not compatible, for whatever reason. And then you realize this after a week or a month or 2 months or whatever the time frame is. When you meet the next person, you got to start all over at ground zero in
Mhm.
building that rapport and getting to know, and that's energy.
It
And
is.
so I've had to ask myself the hard question of, am I willing to put that energy in? Do I have the energy right now to do that?
Mm.
And that's even a harder question than, am I willing? Because I have to be willing if I say I want to be married. But to say, do I want to even do it, is like a really hard question. um,
Mm.
so I think that's where I'm at. But I do realize that, if I'm going to meet anybody, I am going to have to be intentional and be serious about it. And so if I don't meet someone through the 6 degrees of separation, somebody that know my cousin and know my auntie that that want to hook me up, then I feel like for me, I would probably have to invest in exploring a dating site that uh, match me, or made me, that were compatible with people that were like-minded, from the standpoint
Mhm.
of, we're both willing to invest even financially into our futures.
Hmm.
Yeah.
so
Well,
so
one
I'm if
thing.
I'm going to stay away from the free sites,
I got you.
essentially.
I got you. Well, one thing the experience has taught me was, and I already mentioned this because I went ahead of myself, but I'll say it again. The narrative that there are not, and I've heard men say this too, that there are not any real Christian women or men out there. That's not true. Like the
Mhm.
Lord
Mm-hmm.
really showed me, like, no, I got guys out here. I do. I got stone cold believers who are about their grind. They're gainfully employed. They're ambitious. Nobody's perfect, but they're out there, and it just kind of gave me like a sense of hope. I think a sense
Yeah.
of hope.
Mhm.
not just for myself, but for my friends, for other women who I know that are in the body of Christ, who just kind of keep hearing the same narrative. The
And
Lord,
other men.
huh?
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah.
And other
Yeah, I mean,
men.
Yeah.
God got a whole world, honey. God got a whole world.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like Holly said, and I think Sweet said this, it's about being open. And yes, it's gonna take energy. I learned that too. Like how to navigate the space. Like for me, at one point, it was like I was engaging multiple people in multiple conversations. One time I was I was I can share this because this is not the case now. Now I'm focused on anyway. Um,
Yeah.
but at one point I had so many, and all their names started with the letter D.
Oh Lord.
I was like, oh shoot, not you, right?
Whew. Help.
And I'm talking about
Caught up. Caught
I ain't
up.
talking about
Mm.
texting on the app. I'm talking about phone numbers. Like they have my
Wow.
phone number. I had their phone number. But yeah, so I had made up in my mind. I said just engage multiple people, right? And then when that one stands out, he gonna knock the rest off. So I'm keeping a rotation so I don't feel like I got to keep. Oh, I know that
Oh,
sounds bad, probably, but I mean,
that's
that
the
is
whole
what
point.
dating
Yeah.
is. That's what it is. You don't jump in and be like, relationship.
Yeah.
Right,
Mm-hmm.
right.
You the
You
one.
got to,
On
Hmm.
day one, you the one.
it might right, and it
Yeah.
may happen fast for you, but you got to get
Yeah.
to that point, and it does take energy. It takes energy and time. It takes time. You know,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I I, I stay up. I stay up late now, lots of nights. But
Okay.
Well,
hold on. Let me
gee.
clarify, Lord. Let me clarify. Conversations
Whew.
with conversation. It's all right.
Family.
I'm
Yeah.
still yet holding on. Don't worry about
That's the joy. That is the joy
Yes.
of dating somebody that you are attracted to and that person is attracted to you. Those first 2 to 3 month
Honey, when you falling
conversations
asleep on the
where you're falling
phone,
asleep
it.
on the phone
honey, love
because
it,
you
love it.
you just want to know. You
Yeah.
appreciate the phone call on the lunch break.
Mm-hmm.
You
Right,
appreciate
right,
the text that says good
Yes.
morning.
honey.
It means so much.
Yes, it
Honey,
You
does.
know, so
yes.
that those are the good things about getting
Yeah,
to know process.
Yeah. Honey,
yeah.
back in the day, I remember dating this one guy. We was on the phone all night. Literally, he was going into work the next morning. We was still, I was
I
like,
had that
wait a
experience
minute.
too.
We got to go. And then he was like, I'm walking into work. All right, talk to you later. I'm like, dang. That's what I'm talking about. Cause I mean, and I can safely say this, that we're all the same way because we love having great conversation. Like whoever I'm with, they got to know how to have a conversation. I can't
Yes.
be birds on the phone chirping and I'm having to pull stuff out of you. No, I like to have just great
Yeah,
conversation. So, but
yeah.
yeah.
I, I, I had to tell y'all something off record. Anyway,
Ah,
Okay,
okay.
okay.
but anyhow, so yes, that's what it taught me. Do you all have any final thoughts? I think we've had a wonderful discussion, what I
Yes.
pray that this conversation does is encourages people. But y'all have anything else to add?
Go ahead.
I would say walking your truth. And
Mhm.
I know that's something that's kind of cliche now, but when I say walking your truth, if your truth is you would like to online date and you maybe have allowed um, the the noise abroad to kind of shift your decision making process, we're saying as believing women and representatives of Christ that this can be done in a very kosher, a very spirit led way, a very safe way. And it's no different than meeting somebody at the gas station or in the grocery store aisle.
Right.
And use your gifts of discernment, whether it's on an app or whether it's in person.
Yes,
The
please.
Holy Spirit will lead and
Yes.
guide you. So I would say walk in the truth of it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, and I would say the same thing, however you feel led in this season of your life, if you're just getting out of a relationship and you need time to process and to heal and to develop and to grow, then take that time to do that. If you feel like you're ready, then, step out on faith, and take a chance because you just never know, what can happen. And, don't get so stuck in your head and, well, Lord, you said he that findeth. But, at the end of the day, if you get married, he's found a wife. He still
Right.
found you.
That's
You know
right.
what I'm saying? It's not, he got to seek you like like he doing some
We'll find every
I
reason.
mean, you know what I'm saying? He's still at the end of the day, when you're standing at the aisle, he still found you. He
That's
still
right.
Yeah,
found a wife, regardless of what method it, brought you
yeah,
to him.
That's
yeah.
right.
So just encourage you to just, trust God, and like Sweet said, use your discernment. If somebody feel like they're crazy, they probably are. Just, and, and
Right.
have fun. Have fun. You only got
Yeah,
one
have
life to
fun.
live. It's worth taking a chance because you just never know what'll happen.
That's right. Enjoy yourself. Have fun. Learn
Yes.
how to talk to someone of the opposite sex. That's a skill set, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Please.
Uh, so yes. All right. Well, anyway, this has been another episode of Truth Reveal. I don't have
Yep.
anything else to add. Uh, I'm encouraged, and I believe that when this Rona is over,
Yeah. Oh
hallelujah, I
my.
believe God during the Rona is putting folks together, and
Yes.
we're gonna be seeing a lot of engagements and weddings and all kind of wonderful things. I pray.
And
Um,
babies.
Yes. Oh my.
babies
Yep.
from married folk now, babies from
Man,
married
please.
folk, and the non ones. I know.
It,
This,
it happens sometimes. Bless your hearts. It's all right.
This is a no judgment zone, but you know it's about to be a
Yeah.
baby boom in
right? It
December
is
and
Yeah,
about to
it
be a baby.
January.
is.
No judgment
Everybody been
Tuesday.
home from work in
Man, let
April.
me tell you something.
Oh,
It's going to be the
Lord
maternity
help.
ward is going to be overrun and run over. You hear me?
Overrun.
Honey.
Right. That's what the
Run over.
hospital's gonna be overran with
2020
Pressed
babies.
down,
maternity ward.
shaken
Shaking
together,
together and
and
running over
run it
with
over.
babies. With babies.
Yes,
Oh,
absolutely.
Lord.
And the Lord
Mm-mm-mm.
bless. All
Yes.
right. Well, this has been another episode of Truth Reveal. We love you guys. Do not
Yes.
forget, if you are listening to us in any platform, uh,
Yes.
like, subscribe if you can,
Please.
share this. We need those things from you guys so we can
Yes.
seen by others, and they can enjoy this content that we have. We love y'all.
Yes.
Bye bye.
Peace.
Bye.